Today I'm going to review how to do a table or chart or graph in InDesign and also how to edit it. So a table in InDesign will look something just like this, very generic, very plain, but there's a lot of editing techniques that you can do to make this look a little bit more design professional, and I'm going to review that with you today. So again, just how to start a table is that you want to go over to your type tool. And what you have to remember with tables in InDesign is that it's an anchored type. And what that means is that it can move with your story or be placed in your paragraphs, but it is type, and you need the type tool to start a table. So there's a couple ways you can go about that. One, you can click and drag with your type tool and sort of create the area that you want your table to try to fit into. And then you can go up to Table, Insert Table. And when you're working with the type, you want to see how many rows and columns and how the information is laid out and how you want to lay out your information. So you can work with the body rows, which is horizontal, or the columns. And you can also work with header and footer rows, but for right now we're going to go back in and edit those later. And you can push OK. And then there you go. Again, it couldn't fill up the whole space because we didn't have that many rows to begin with. But we can always work with it and edit it later. Besides that, what you can also do is you can already just start off with table. You can go create table. Let's try another. And then it's already preloaded in there, which you can see right next to the arrow. And if you click and drag, you can see your table laid out and how it already highlighted and moved towards the type tool because it knows that it's a table and it knows that it's connected. So either way you can do it, it's fine. So I entered my type in here, and by moving it you can see that I have the box with the plus, which means that there's more information, there's more data type in there that I need to work with. I actually want to make this 2 pages so I can show you how to cross-continue things. So I'm going to push that and then have that there. And also what you have to remember with tables, and it's only really with tables in InDesign, that it can actually go past the box that you've originally created. So if you see something like this, that's totally fine. Do not worry about that. You can select the type only, select the box, and they sort of function a little bit differently. The type will obviously change the type, where the box you can work more with editing the size and everything like that. You can also move the boxes. It doesn't even have to be highlighted. Like I can come over here and I can move them. But if we come over here and get this black arrow, that will highlight everything, and you can edit the whole top or your whole row in one thing. You can also do that from above as well, and you can see that it went across 2 pages. So this only affected this row because that's where the row stops, but this column, it goes across 2 pages. Now, fair warning, edit your type and how you want your type before you sort of edit with merging cells and tables. And I'll show you how to do that soon. But let's say I wanted loans and I didn't want these bars here, which we will edit out later. If I then come up to these columns and I want to edit them and I select them all, InDesign will not do that because it will only read non-merge cells. Okay, so cell is each of these little boxes. That's just the short end of InDesign with this table layout. So just be aware of that. Edit your type and get it the way you want it to look before you work with merging the cells, okay, and really designing the boxes. So don't forget, because this is type, you can come in here and you can put in anything that you like. So you can make those little edits if you want to. So what I want to point out is that if we move these just generally, you can see that the table width is moving, getting bigger, getting smaller. How you can adjust these columns without having that trouble. So let's say I want my table about this big. You have to hold down Shift and then drag, and you can see table staying the same way, only the column widths and cells are changing. And that is a big help, or else you'll just be working nonstop trying to get the table to stay the same, but working with different columns. Again, all I'm doing is holding down Shift, click and drag to get what I want. But the table is staying the same. Let's say that with the last 3 columns here, I want them all the same width. And that's kind of hard when you're just doing it by the eye. So how to do that is that you would highlight all 3 of these, just click and drag, and you can see other options coming up here, but we don't want these options for right now. What we want is we want to go under Table, Distribute Columns Evenly, and that actually forces InDesign to create a box that will fit all the information, but for them all to be even in the table that you set. So you see the table didn't get any bigger, they just readjusted themselves in the table that you've already created. So you can come here and you can highlight these rows, and let's say maybe that you want a little bit more space. You can come up to this button and you can work with that. Now obviously you don't need that much space because there's not that much information there, but that's something that you can then edit. And you can edit 3 at a time, and you can see them all moving together. Now when it comes to columns, it's a little bit different. You highlight the word, and this more adjusts one at a time. So you can either come up to at least, so it would at least be this size, or you can come up to exactly, and that's exactly what you want. But you can see with this, it does not edit any of the other ones, just that one alone. So maybe you want to give a little bit more space. What you can also do is when you're highlighting, you can come over here and you can work with where you want the type placed. Now this might take a little bit of fidgeting, but these are great controllers if you want it centered. And that's one way that you can work with the type there. So I'm just going to leave that be for right now, but there's a lot of control in that. Again, you have to highlight, and then you have the power to go into these other options. Same with this, highlight, and then you can place where exactly you want that.